Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I'm Rebecca Williams.
And I'm Garry Mack. Tennessee's Department of Human Services says child abuse is on the rise in Hamilton County. The number of reported cases rose 23% in 1991.
Our Madeline Firsty spoke with officials at the Hamilton County Children's Advocacy Center and tells us that figures may be up, but that's not all bad.
Carol Ann Roberts says she understands why the number of child abuse cases is up 23% in Hamilton County.
People that have children in their environment, school teachers, daycares, are getting more alert to the signs and symptoms of abuse, so they're making more reports.
The State Department of Human Services says the rise is in every category of child abuse. Physical abuse cases, neglect, and sexual abuse cases all took a jump in 1991. But Roberts remains optimistic, saying there are more cases being reported due to a better educated public.
I think that speaks to people being more educated and people listening to children more and children having more rights.
Roberts says child abuse is often hard to recognize and even harder to talk about, but there are certain steps to take if you suspect it.
But if you have some reasonable cause to believe that it's true, then you report it to the Department of Human Services and then they investigate it.
And one final tip from Roberts, one she says is most important.
The time to intervene is when the children are young, so they don't have to live a life of pain.
Madeline Firsty, News 12.
Former Miss America Marilyn Vanderburg will be in Chattanooga tomorrow to help dedicate the new Children's Advocacy Center and to speak about her past experiences as an abused child.
She will speak at the Choo Choo Convention Center at 5:30.
On a more positive note for Tennessee's children, the infant mortality rate is down. The Tennessee Commission on Children and Youth announced the results of a special project called Kids Count today. The project's findings show infant mortality rates down over the past few years, but should drop even lower.
Once mothers find out or even suspect that they may be pregnant, we encourage them to go and have a visit specifically geared to check themselves, have a complete physical, and get counseling at that point for the best outcome.
The mortality rates are also down in Chattanooga and Hamilton County, but the state figures are still higher than the national average.
A judge says a Hamilton County Sheriff's deputy acted properly during a high-speed chase that ended in death for 3 teenagers.
More on this story in our look around the valley.
In March of 1990, Gregory Gilliam was driving a stolen car without taillights on Highway 27 when he was stopped by Deputy Alan Brown. Brown gave chase and Gilliam sped up to 100 miles an hour. After 2.5 miles, Gilliam slammed into a car driven by 17-year-old James Guffey. Also inside were his sister, 16-year-old Catherine Forrester, and his girlfriend, Becky Henson. All 3 teens were killed. Several days later, the Sheriff's Department said that the deputy had broken no laws, an argument used today by defense attorneys.
Remember, the car was driving recklessly, almost ran a lady off the road before the officer ever undertook to try and stop it. If he had not acted, would that have not been negligence? Would that not have been dereliction of duty? Certainly. That's his obligation, is to enforce the law, not to ignore violators of the law.
Today, a judge dropped Hamilton County and the city of Soddy Daisy from the lawsuit, and Gilliam remains the sole defendant.
Larry Wade Walters has been sentenced to more than 10 years in prison for the robbery of a Cleveland bank last July. The 25-year-old pled guilty to conspiring to rob a bank robbery, and using a firearm. Walters was arrested after trying to take a Kentucky couple hostage at a scenic overlook rest stop on I-75 near Chattanooga.
According to a new survey, opposition to a state income tax is growing in Tennessee. The UT survey was taken during the November 3rd election, and it reveals that only 31% of the state's voters support a state income tax. That's down from the 42% who were in favor of the state tax before the election. And that's a look around the valley.
Now, the deal is this is a perfect time of year for a telescope, so that you can go out on these clear nights.
Yeah, that's what I want for Christmas. True story. That's really what I'm asking for Christmas. If Santa's watching tonight, that's what I'd like to have.
He's in that workshop. He's getting ready.
A clear night like tonight's perfect for that. We've got a beautiful starry night out there and a lot of sunshine coming back tomorrow, too.
Good.
Nice sunset. I want to show you our tower cam from earlier in this afternoon when the sun was just setting, 5:30. Look down at Corridor J today. Hope you had a nice day weather-wise. No problems coming up anytime soon in our forecast, as you'll see in a minute. Right now, it's 40 degrees outside, 76% relative humidity. Winds are southerly at 3. The barometer is steady at 30.34 inches of mercury. Now, across the entire United States tonight, we just don't have a whole lot happening. We have one storm system well up to the north in the southern Ohio Valley there, the northern Ohio Valley, the southern Great Lakes region. There's a low-pressure system here and quite a bit of snow falling just to the east of the lakes there. It is lake-generated snowfall. We call it lake effect snow, and that's what's happening. The wind's coming across the lake, causes the clouds to pile up on the east side and then drop snow if it's cold enough, and it is indeed cold enough, into the low 30s across most of those areas. Buffalo, New York getting pounded there. The scenario has been over the past week and a half or so that high pressure's been back to our west, and that has been keeping warm temperatures back there, the coolest air east of the Mississippi River. But all that's changing, and it looks like over the next, say, 6 days or so, we're going to have high pressure building over the eastern half of the country, and another cold snap will develop back to the west. That'll bring rain our way, too, by the end of the week. You'll see the low pressure system up to our north, and plenty of sunshine today all across the eastern half of the country. The southern half of the country, actually, warm temperatures back to the west, as I said, and there's our high pressure system moving on to the east in time. Tomorrow afternoon, you'll see it'll be out of the Atlantic Ocean. Warm front to our north. That's going to bring southerly winds in here and should increase our afternoon highs about 6 to 8 degrees or so. Tonight, clear skies, not as cold, about 30 to 32. Then for tomorrow, look for sunshine, plenty of it, too, with high temperature readings from about 60 to 65. When we come back in a few minutes, we'll talk about the next chances for rain. It's later on in our 5-day planner, and plenty of sunshine until then. Rebecca, Gary?
Thank you, David. Just how clean is the water in our backyards?
Sam Brown has this report on what you should know about lakes and streams under the Tennessee Valley Authority.
Since its creation in 1933, TVA has prided itself on the world's most highly developed system of man-made lakes, flood control, cheap electricity, and boundless recreation on TVA lakes and the Tennessee River. Now, with the publication of TVA's report card, River Pulse, red flags are rising. While on the whole, TVA believes it is tackling pollution problems and the river is healthy, its own publication prints warnings about fish consumption on 8 lakes and 3 streams. Fish contaminated with dangerous PCBs, the pesticide DDT, mercury, and cancer-causing dioxin. A dangerous lack of oxygen smothers aquatic life, and the lake's ability to absorb waste such as sewage from homes and waste from agriculture and industry. TVA water quality is still first and foremost on the mind of TVA Board Chairman John Waters, who freely admits there still are some very serious problems.
The problem we have, Sam, is what we now call non-point pollution. That's just this filth, the bug killers, the weed killers, the oils out of automobiles, the sprays, the things that household cleaners, the things you and I have under our sink sometimes that we don't maybe use as correctly as we should.
I think what you're saying is the waters are still in bad shape. They're in big trouble.
And as the population grows and as more development grows, we're going to have more problems.
But in our one-on-one interview with TVA Board Chairman John Waters, he is quick to point out progress reflected by River Pulse.
Tremendous progress has been made on the Tennessee River. The Tennessee River is cleaner than it has been in my lifetime.
In Knoxville, Sam Brown for CBS News.
Seeing all that river water, did that put y'all in the mood to go fishing?
Yeah, it's a little cold, though.
Yeah, it is chilly.
Wait till the sun comes out.
It is. Probably about a 2:30 a.m. peak time,
That's
though.
usually when
I think it's 3:30.
Oh, it'll be cold then.
Exhibition game tonight at the arena.
Mike's were able to go up against somebody other than themselves. When you play against each other a lot, you get tired of looking at the same old faces. Get some fresh meat in there. After 3 weeks of scrimmaging, the Mike's were finally able to rough up some strangers. The Varick Reps from Ohio made a long bus trip for tonight's exhibition. The Reps are made up of former college players, much like the Marathon Oil team, which has been coming to Chattanooga for quite a few years. Ringgold's Brandon Bourne was a surprise starter tonight. He scored 4 points, pulled down 6 rebounds in 18 minutes of action. That layup makes it 52-36 Mocs on top. Damon Woods scored an even 20 tonight. The big man went 2 for 2 from the three-point line. He was 8 of 13 from the floor. Tim Brooks is obviously ready for the season. The point guard drives the lane and hits the shot, completes a three-point play. Mocs led by 13 in the second half. Garry Robb is a great newcomer to this team. He led the squad in scoring with 21 during his 32 minutes on the court. Mocs won at 93-74 afterwards. Bourne talked about his start, and Matt McCarthy says playing a real opponent to help sort the team out.
I was kind of surprised tonight when I started. I figured the last 2 weeks I gave good enough effort desperate maybe to start, but it wasn't a surprise I started.
That was a tremendous help because playing against yourself, you're not really sure what's going on out there. But playing against outside competition, and I thought they were a respectable team. They had some big, strong people. They had an outstanding point guard that could shoot the ball. You know, I thought it was a good test. I was pleased with the win.
Good win for the Mocs. Of course, the favorite to win the Southern Conference regular season championship. They looked really good this year.
Now, Brandon's from Ringgold. How many other local players?
Well, you have Rich Burns from Cleveland, Chad Copeland from Bradley Central, who's nursing a broken bone in his foot right now. So Chad is scheduled to be back in time for the Southern Conference regular season schedule a little bit after Christmas. But three locals who really will play a part in this season. You know, the good shooters. Brandon has grown a couple inches in the off season. So Matt McCarthy is in fine shape for the season.
Great. All righty. Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin. That's your 10-minute nonstop look at today's news, weather, and sports, but there is more ahead.
When we return, you thought the campaign was over. Not just yet. We'll take you to Georgia for the latest round of politics.
Picture this. You're cruising through town in a